Welcome back to the Moxie Movement. Hi, I'm Sarah Greener. I'm your host and the creator of the Power Hour Time Back System and the Success Map System download process. It's super good to have you here today. Hope you have had an epic week full of amazingness. This is a little bit late, should have been done earlier this week, but I am riding solo at home at the moment. Every year, around about this time of the year, we lift the boat out of the water. I've been doing that every year since we bought her. Preventative maintenance is always better than maintenance when things break down, especially when it comes to boats. Johnny's at home giving our beautiful old girl her annual spa. She's a big boat. She weighs 75 tons. And a few years ago, the council in our region decided that they would take out the facilities that allowed us to lift big boats out. Now it's a 3-day trip down the coast to Whangarei where we lift the boat out and do the maintenance. It's a bit more of a performance than it used to be because we have to watch for the weather windows, and then the team and Johnny sail her down the coast and then lift her out of the water and then spend 5 to 10 days doing the work on the boat, getting her butt clean. I am running single-handed back here while Johnny does his thing back in New Zealand with the team. They had a good run down the coast. They were racing the weather a little bit, but they clearly made the right decision because they had a beautiful pod of dolphins escort them into the harbour, into Whangarei, and they lifted out on Monday morning. And they're getting to work. When they lift her out, she looks pretty rough. She's got all her growth on the bottom. She gets a really good clean up and she goes back in. And I'll be honest, I haven't done it since before Scarlett was born. It was one of my favourite jobs. And the reason it was one of my favourite jobs was because it was something that had a start and a finish. Very clear start and finish in the business that we were running. There's very few other things that we do in our business where you can clearly say, hey, here's what it looks like when we start, here's what it looks like when we finish. It looks a million times better and you're not going to have to touch it for 12 months. There's not much else in our tourism business that operates like that. It was always something I really enjoyed because there was such a sense of satisfaction when we got to the end. Now, when we're setting up 6-week projects with our clients, making sure we're really clear about what done looks like is really important to me. That finish line is important to me because I think the reason that I enjoyed that much was because there was a finish line. We could see that we were getting closer to the finish line and we got it done. Whereas often in our businesses, we're constantly moving the finish line, constantly adding more things to the project. And that's no fun for you as the leader, and it's no fun for your team either. I miss it a little bit, although it's a very dirty job, scraping the bottom of a boat, as you can imagine. So I don't miss that part of it. But the painting and getting it all finished was always pretty satisfying. It is just the greener gals here in Thailand in our new home here, and Scarlett has been freaking amazing. And I remember in the early days when we would do things, get her to help with the dishes, and when they're little and cute, but they're really not helpful. You're like, why do I even bother? This takes 10 times longer. They're not actually doing the job. And if you're in that stage and age with your kids, please stick at it. It is worth it. I'm here podcasting to you right now, and my daughter is out there cooking our dinner. I suspect mostly because she doesn't like doing the dishes. If she cooks, Mum will do the dishes. Genuinely though, the ability for us to split some of the tasks with her has made a huge difference while Johnny's been away. Things that otherwise him and Scarlett and I would split, it's now just the two of us. It's huge to have children that actually contribute around the house. One of our mantras for the Greeners has always been, we all make the work here, we all do the work here. As a home, we create the work collectively, like we all make the dirty dishes, we all make the dirty laundry, we all accumulate the dust. My husband would say it's mostly us girls because our hair falls out and his is already gone. But the reality is that we're all contributing to the fact the house needs to be cleaned. One of the things I advocate a lot is if you're not in the financial position just yet to be able to outsource your cleaning, and even when you are, I think it's really important that every human that lives in your household contributes to the household. And that's paying dividends for me this week, last week, and next week while Johnny's away. I don't know that I'd be able to hold everything down that I need to hold down as a woman in business if I didn't have her with those life skills. Those many nights after she went to bed that we re-washed the dishes because they were covered in coffee grinds or whatever other dirty things she washed first before she washed the rest of the other dishes. It was worth it because she is such a huge help now and she enjoys it. She's such a foodie, which is cool for us because we love food because it's such a way to connect with culture and travel and other humans. It's really nice to have a child that enjoys food and enjoys preparing it as well. That's been fun. The other thing is Scarlett and I have been looking for the next thing to stack on our wellbeing journey. I used to be an all or nothing. I used to be that person that would make a New Year's resolution that on a Monday I'm going to cut out all bad things, all sugar, all carbs. I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week. I'm going to drink 4 litres of water. I would be all in extreme. I was all in on my health and wellness and fitness, and I would fail miserably. I would fall off the wagon all the time. It's taken me until I'm in my 40s to learn that I need to stack slowly. I need to build a consistent ritual that feels good to me in one part with one activity for my well-being, and then I can stack something else. And as a business owner, I didn't get it for a long time. I didn't get that there's such a body-brain connection, even though most of our business is an intellectual game, although some of you might have a physical aspect to your business as well, depending on your business. That body-brain connection, that ability for us to play this intellectual game at the highest level is impossible without looking after ourselves. This kind of boom or bust, and let's be honest, it was mostly bust when I was operating that way, of looking at my health and well-being was a disaster. I've got better. Part of the reason I've got better is Scarlett. For a long time she was my excuse. You will have heard me say this before. A long time she was my excuse when it came to exercising. I couldn't do it first thing in the morning because I'd miss out on cuddles. And I couldn't do it last thing at night because I'd miss out on bath time and stories. And I'd done a lot of missing out. If you know anything about my story, working 60 to 100 hours a week in our businesses, I definitely missed out on a lot of that. Even when, as I say that, it's definitely going to be something I regret for a long time. I can't go back and change it. I used it as an excuse to not miss it going forward, but in that I was sacrificing myself and my own well-being, and that then negatively impacted my ability to be a great mum. And not only that, I wasn't modelling good behaviours for her either. In the last, I guess, 3 or 4 years, I've got much better at stacking. We've got some really good habits stacked, not just me as an individual, but us collectively as a family, which I really love. You will have heard me talk about the fact that we've CrossFit together. We were looking for what's the next level. Back in New Zealand, we used to CrossFit and then go and swim. We had a really cool community, a really epic culture at our gym in New Zealand, and we would go swim afterwards. Now, we can swim here, but it's lacking the cold vibes. We'd been looking around for an ice bath. It's been low season here. We finally found somewhere. I also do yoga as well. We have started doing proper ice baths with the breath work. So we've done a variety of different breath work with our first ice bath. Today we did the Wim Hof breathing method, if anybody's familiar with this stuff, and then we did the ice bath. So this is us stacking this next level. The goal is to, for now, do 2 of these a week, working up to, it would be really ideal to do them every day to look after our well-being. It has all sorts of benefits. Mostly for me though, I find I'm very wide awake and very driven first thing in the morning after a sleep, my cold shower, some protein and a coffee in the morning. I work really well for 4 or 5 hours and then I crash. I struggle in the afternoon. What we've decided to do, and interestingly my daughter is similar, the fact that we're both neurodiverse might have something to do with this, so we all run out of dopamine by the time we get to lunchtime. We've decided that we're going to eat lunch, do a nice bath, and then come back here and get into the afternoon with another hour of work before we end and wrap up the end of the day. We'll let you know how it goes. So far good, except for the weather's kind of put the kibosh on ice bathing the last couple of days because it has been windy, wet. I had to laugh today. We got out, we got on the motorbike, and just as we were leaving, it'd been reasonably fine most of the day, these huge thunder spots started coming down and we got quite wet and it got quite windy. Mother Nature was just testing that we really wanted the ice bath today. We've been playing around with those things and stacking them in for Scarlett and I, and we will keep you posted. I wanted to talk about something that is a big theme at the moment. I think some of it's the economy. I think some of it's the advice we get often as small business owners. The other thing is the way that we do business as small business owners that results in that. And that's the cash flow rollercoaster. If you're in small business, you might know what I'm talking about. You go out, you work really hard, you get some sales, and you're like, yay, we've got some money coming in. And now you get busy delivering the product, delivering the service, fulfilling whatever it is you sold to your customers. Meanwhile, you don't do any sales activity, busy delivering, and you starting to get to the end of the delivery, and you're like, oh my God, there's no work in the pipeline, and there's no cash left. It feels like when you're working really hard, there's no money, and when you're not working really hard, you're desperately working hard now on the sales piece to try and get the sales. I see is it runs at a 30 to 90 day cycle depending on your business. We were having this conversation inside the Power Hour program the other day where a client was like, oh, summer's really busy, I can't keep up, and then I get to this time of the year and there's no business. There's nobody spending any money. And I went, that's interesting. I said, I'm curious about how much activity you've done, talking to past clients, talking to your database, asking for people to come and work with you to buy your thing over the last 3 months. She was like, oh, nothing. We've been busy delivering on all the work that came in over summer. And I was like, there's your answer. Because we constantly get in this cash flow roller coaster of deliver and then sell and then deliver and then sell, our cash flow feels bumpy and tight. Our sales feel bumpy and tight. And our deliveries either all on or all off. It's a really exhausting way to run your business. And we don't want to do it like that anymore. This is the thing that we've been talking about a lot inside my business. And we're going to layer on top of that the economy at the moment, where everybody's telling you doom and gloom, people are tightening their belts, nobody's spending as much money. If you're hanging out in places like that, I know it's really hard to get away from. And it's absolutely not serving you, because the reality is that there are great businesses that are made in tough times. There are businesses that are thriving in this current environment. And I just don't mean certain industries are doing really well. I can be in the same industry and seeing someone who's killing it and someone who's drowning. The difference is the way that they engage with their money and the way that they engage with the current economic climate. You cannot let your business be driven by what's happening externally. That doesn't mean you should ignore it. It means you should be aware of it. You should have some processes in your business that enable you to be really smart about what you're doing all the time, not just when things feel constricted. When things feel really good as business owners, we take our eye off the small things. We don't notice where our business is leaking money. We don't notice where our business is leaking leads. We don't notice where our business is leaking sales. The best analogy I can give you is the leaky bucket. If you have a bucket and you've got a fire hose of water going into the top of it, and it's got a few holes, you don't notice that the bucket's super leaky because there's so much water going in the top, the bucket's staying full all the time. In fact, it's probably overflowing. If we get rid of the fire hose and we put a piddly little garden hose into it, and there's not so much volume of water going in, the holes in the bucket, the leaks in the bucket start to be far more impactful. If you're running this roller coaster cash flow and now you're listening to the contraction in the environment, you immediately looking for evidence that contraction is happening in your business, you are going to immediately see all the places where things aren't working well. And I'm going to tell you that rather than it being a reflection of the economy, it's more likely a reflection of where has been your focus and energy, and you haven't had your focus and energy on plug in the leaks. Now that things feel contracted and tight, those leaks matter. We want to do a couple of different things. The first thing is we don't want to ride the cash flow roller coaster anymore. Instead of doing sales activity in fits and starts, or passively, which means we're putting stuff out into the marketplace and hoping that people buy our thing. We want to be far more active about it and far more deliberate. We also want to be consistent. Like I say all the time, which is really difficult for someone who loves to have new ideas and do new things, which is a lot of us as entrepreneurs in business, including me, is that so much of business is consistency, discipline. Good business is boring. You've got to get the right things working really well and then have them happen consistently in your business, and sales activity is one of them. If you don't know where your leads are coming from, you're going to be constantly looking for the new shiny thing. I see this often when people are new coming into my program. We're doing the strategic plan. I'm like, cool, what are the domino goals that will make everything else faster, easier, simpler? And they're like, oh, I want to launch this new campaign on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, insert social media solution here. And I'm like, cool, awesome. Where do your current customers come from? Where do your current clients come from? And they're like, oh, referral. I'm like, okay. Why are we running an ads campaign when our current clients come from referral? Oh, we need new leads. I'm like, okay, cool. Have you asked all your current customers for referrals? Because that's where the business is currently coming from. Like, oh no. Because here's the jam. The new shiny things are fun to do, but they're gonna take some time to test and measure and get right and get results from. Where things have already worked in the past, you're probably going to be able to turn that on far quicker, far faster, far more consistently if you just go and do it. And not just do it once, go and figure out how to build a system around it. The very first thing I want to do is block that leaky sales system and go, where do my current customers come from that are already buying from me? And how do I make that work for me on a consistent basis? How do I turn that into a system that I can do in 5, 15, 20 minutes a day, that I never have this roller coaster again? The exception to that is when you want to go through a growth period. It's like trying to get the plane off the ground. If you're in the early stages of your business, it requires more fuel to get the plane off the ground and flying than it does just to keep it flying. So there's going to be extra energy that goes into your sales when you're first getting started. Or if you want to go through a growth period, if we're like, hey, we want to bring in more sales, we can bring on a new team member, want to go to a bigger premises, or we just want the growth because we want to go to the next level in our business, we want to be able to make a bigger impact with what we do, cool. Then we're going to dial up, and then we want to maintain with some sort of sales system that allows us to be active in asking people to buy our stuff on a regular basis. And if you haven't got that, you got leaks going all over the place. The flip side of that is putting more water in the top isn't helping a leaking bucket. You've got to plug the holes. It's really important that we plug our holes in our business. When there's much money, you don't know where it's all going. That sounds like it's okay, but it's really not. We don't ever want to have leaks anywhere. Not money leaks, not energy leaks, not time leaks. We want to plug all of those holes because those are the things that will help the boat go faster if you plug them. What is your process for checking that your boat isn't leaky or your bucket isn't leaky when you fill it up with money? This is nothing worse than feeling like you're working really hard and doing all the right things in your sales and marketing, but there is way too much month left at the end of your money. That's a terrible sensation. We want to make sure that does not happen anymore. We want to make sure that we're doing that on a regular basis. Now, here's the thing. Often people will do this when things don't feel good. When they're in really dire straits, they're like, man, there's no cash flow. They're like, I'm going to have to put money in for my mortgage. I'm going to have to go back to the bank for some more cash. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, you could do it then. Actually, what would be a better solution is to be consistently doing it all the time so that you're never wasting money. It's really easy nowadays to sign up to subscriptions that are duplicate, that do the same thing as something else you already have in your business. It's really easy to sign up to something and forget to cancel it because you're not actually going to use it. Really important that we're constantly reviewing. You've probably got some big corporate suppliers, think internet, phone, banking, where they're not keen on looking after their existing customers, but they'll do really great deals for their new customers. And unfortunately, I've not found any better way than to save money on my phone, my internet, my power, than to move suppliers. It's little things like that that over time really add up. And the last thing that's important is, do you know your pricing? Often when the economy is tight, people say to me, but Sarah, I can't put the price up. And I've talked about this before. It's making the cash flow roller coaster worse. And the reason I know it's making it worse is because your sales per unit are not high enough to cover all of the costs that are happening, which tells me that you don't know your pricing, you don't know your break-even point, and you're just feeling your way through things. And if you know what I'm talking about when it comes to feeling your numbers, this is something that's going to be super important to you. I talked about running profit first, but profit first is not useful if you're not going to use it. Like, it's great when we put all our bank accounts in the right places and we can track the money, we can pay our tax. Profit first is going to tell you things about your business. It's going to send up red flags that will help you prevent this cash flow roller coaster. You need some really solid systems in your business when it comes to cash, and you need them in multiple places. Cash can leak all over the place in your business. We used to think we had a really lean tourism business, and then COVID happened and we were like, whoa, it's leaky everywhere in here. And we got lean again, and it's been 4 years, and while it's been a tight 4 years, I bet that there will be places where we can go back through our business and tighten things up again, which is why every winter, because we have a really seasonal business, we go through a really solid cash finder process in our business here at the Moxie Movement. And that needs to happen as well, because as your business grows, it gets a little bit sloppy around the edges. There are places where things are falling through the cracks that you need to tighten up. To avoid that cash flow roller coaster, we do a cash finder session every week and look at these things. Where is it going wrong? Where are the leaks happening? Is it that I'm not following up? Is it that I'm not sending the emails and that's what brings in the sales? Is it that I am not getting around my existing customers if they're repeat people that will give us repeat business? And putting those systems in place can change everything. We never used to follow up our private charters pre-COVID because we had so many international tourists, it didn't matter. That was just laziness on our behalf, because people always had a great experience when they had a private charter. Were they going to come out every year? Probably not. Some do. We have some businesses that for a decade have been coming out with us every year, and we still ring them when it gets to August and we're like, hey, it's coming up to that time of the year again, let's get you booked in, because everybody wants a Saturday in December for their staff Christmas function, and there's only 3 of them. How can you be active about bringing in the cash on a consistent basis? It might be as simple as making 3 phone calls every week. It might be as simple as setting up a automated response to your inquiry page, that people know that you've got their inquiry and have an expectation about when you're going back to them. It's really important that these fixes are simple and they're repeatable where possible. They don't involve you and your time. Because if they involve you and your time, there's every chance you're going to get yourself on the cash flow roller coaster, and it's really hard to get off once you're on. Roller coasters are fun if you're into that sort of thing, but not when it comes to your cash flow in your business. You do not want to feel like you're up sometimes and you're down sometimes, because if you're riding that from a cash flow point of view, you're then riding that from a delivery point of view, and that's exhausting as well. You're either busy you can't cope, or you haven't got enough work to keep everyone busy. And both places are terribly stressful places to be in your business. Because I know that work follows cash and cash follows work, we've got to fix both problems where we can. This week, I want you to go and have a look. Where's the holes in your business? Where is my business leaking? Is it leaking sales? Is it leaking leads? Is it leaking expenses? Or is it leaking because my pricing sucks and I am busy trying to compare myself to the competition that I have forgotten what my true cost of my business is? Because if you're doing that and you're not priced correctly, how many sales we put in, there's always going to be more month than money. And that is the last place you want to be when you are responsible not just for yourself, but your family. And as your business grows and scales, you're also responsible for employees, you're responsible for suppliers. You never want to put yourself in a position where you're losing sleep over that. You don't want to ride the cash flow roller coaster. You need a cash finder system so that you can plug those leaks. If you'd like my help in getting out of that cash flow roller coaster, I'd love to help you. Book a 15-minute Moxie breakthrough call with me, and we will spend 15 minutes figuring out where you are now, where you want to be, and what's in your way. And I bet there's going to be some leaks in there that we need to plug to get you moving smoothly towards the goals that you want. Because there is nothing worse than being up and down, regardless of whether it's money or health. You don't want to be boom or bust. It's a terrible position to be in. It doesn't feel good, and your poor old nervous system's probably not coping very well with it. I want for you to feel good in yourself. I'm really passionate about making sure that you, as the leader in your business, is going to be okay. And part of that is making sure your business feels like more of a smooth ride than it currently does. I'd love to know, where is the first leak that comes to mind in your head when it comes to your business and the money? Till next time, stay Moxie.